It first came out of a personal need. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to represent.
Because most Kenyans, especially men,
Yeah.
they just find shorts.
Yes.
If it works, it works.
If it
Yes.
works, it works.
Exactly.
That's like in a box.
I posted on my personal page, and once I went to Europe with it, guys were like, where did you get this? Where did you get this?
You are solving a problem for yourself. And if it's
Right.
a problem to you, it's a problem to other people.
Exactly, because the whole point of entrepreneurship is to find a solution to a problem.
Yes.
That's the whole point. Swimming is an essential skill.
You need to say that again. Because I have a lot of adult friends who I don't know what they call, whether they call that swimming. We know the people who koroga water.
Yes, yes.
That is not swimming. Pool parties where everyone is outside.
Exactly, literally. No one enters the water.
So, kumbe the real issue is swimming.
Exactly.
Welcome back, guys. This is it, another episode of SF Pod. And today we have a very interesting conversation. Of all the many nice things you could imagine coming from Africa, you probably wouldn't think of swimwear as one of those things. And today we have the perfect person to have that conversation with because we have been joined by none other than Neema Nkatha. Yeah.
Thank you.
And as usual, we are in our new digs, Workstyle Africa. And if you're looking for a place to have a co-working space, if you're starting out, or even if you're an established team that needs an office that is plug and play, this is the place to be. It's a very pretty. If you could see the view that I am having right now, it's amazing. And there are a few branches across the city, so you are welcome to start from any point of view, and they have amazing packages that I believe you would find suitable for you and your team. So as we get started with this conversation, karibu sana Neema. Should we use Neema or Nkatha?
And is it Neema or Neema?
Or Neema?
No, it depends where you're from. But yeah, it's Neema.
It's Neema.
Because it's Swahili.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
So, but people say Neema, but
Yeah,
the same way
Neema
they
or
say
Neema.
Kenya.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
say
exactly.
Kenya, not Kenya.
yeah,
And
exactly.
zebra, not zebra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When you speak, just try and make the mic closer to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. So as we start this conversation, I think I mean, there's so much to talk about here, but you've come from a very interesting background. I mean, most of us know you from Ohana, the
Yes.
swimwear. And that's why I started by saying, of all the amazing things in Africa, I don't think most of the first things that people think coffee, tea, those things that are hardcore, but nobody thinks swimwear business.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing that I wanted to ask is, what made you think of all the things that you could start? Ukaruka Omeru, so Ukaruka Jaba, Ukaruka, all of those exports that you could probably do. And you thought Africa needs a swimwear brand. And not only does it need, I am the one to do it.
So it first came out of a personal need. In 2018, I was finishing uni. I was in USIU and was planning to do the Europe tour. So during that time, you know how we have everything African print, like clothing, backpacks, sandals,
Ankara print.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That in
Kila
case someone
kitu.
isn't sure you're African,
You can
they can now
identify
be
with that
sure.
one.
And that's what I wanted. I wanted to represent in Europe. It's my first time in Europe, and we're going during summer. So I was packing really cool outfits and, African print. And then I realized, I was like, wait, hold up. We'll be at the beach a lot. So why is there no African print swimwear? So that's when it first hit me. But it did hit me to start it as a business. It just came out of personal need. And I remember I asked my dad, and he was like, okay, so there are two things. Either no one has ever thought about it, but at the time I'm like, there's no way no one has thought about this. Or either someone has thought about it, tried, and it has failed. That's why. So I was like, you know what, I have nothing to lose. So why not go into this? So I started doing my research. And obviously in Kenya, there's no one doing African print. And so I started
African printing, like
Swimwear.
swimming costume, yes, specifically swimming costumes.
What's that
yeah.
material called?
It's a mixture, actually, because there's no one singular fabric.
Okay.
Because you see, we have the men beach shorts, and then we have the bikinis, which are different fabrics, and then we introduce the Muslims, the burkini, the modest, the full piece from the hijab to the burkini dress to the leggings, different fabrics. We have the kids, so it's a mixture of fabrics, so there's no one singular fabric.
I think I'm only asking that because most Kenyans, especially men,
Yeah.
they just find shorts.
Yes.
If it works, it works.
If it
Yes.
works, it works.
Exactly.
So I'm a boxer. But anyway, go back.
So, so essentially, yes, I started doing my research, and also I didn't have a background in fashion. I did finance. So I'm just like,
Wow.
so I just went on YouTube. I was like, how do I do this? So I looked up companies that are doing prints that they were not necessarily African prints, but they were, those prints you have different patterns and colors, and some are African, some are not. And I was like, how are they doing this? So now I just started with ordering. Now I found the factories abroad, and I was like, you know what, let me just order my own personal that I can use to go now for the Euro trip with. And that's literally how it became a business, because once I posted on my personal page and once I went to Europe with it, guys were like, where did you get this? Where did you get this? And I was like, you know what? Let me see if they'll actually order. Let me see if they'll put their money where their mouth is. So I was like, okay, guys, you can just, I know a guy. I know, I'll hook you up. Just, it's this
You're not saying
amount.
you're the guy at this
No, I
stage.
didn't, because I had no idea what I was doing. I just had my own personal. So it was a lot of trial and error. And then once I saw this can be a thing, I was like, you know what, let me actually start with a few designs and a few pieces and launch and see how,
And nobody laughed about it or doubt
Oh,
it,
my
or
goodness.
like, did anyone think it's crazy?
Yes, because I did get two extreme reactions. There were the people cheering me on because they were like, this is so cool, we've never seen. Because also, if you look at the designs, they're very, like it's cut edge design. So it's not your usual, normal swimsuits. Like it's very stylish. So guys, some people are very excited. And then others were like, unauza kitenge in a, like, because they thought it's actually clothing fabric. They thought it's cotton
in
like
case
this.
there's a Rorashio somewhere at the beach.
And then they're like, what's wrong with this girl? So I remember, because I'm also curvy, and I wanted it to be for Africans, for us to fit our bodies. So I remember posting, and on Facebook, the comments, I was just, yeah.
And at least you did it yourself because you were owning your...
Because also people they didn't know about it. I DM'd like hundreds of influencers at the time. So being a new brand, first of all, I didn't have money to pay these influencers, number one, because I took a loan from the bank. And I was
you did?
Yes.
Okay.
That's how I managed to, I actually produced about 100 pieces, same design, one design, just to test it out. So, and I took, once I came back from the trip, which was around August, so I was like, okay, let me target the December, the peak season. So I had the production done by December. So I was like, okay, first mistake, took a loan from the bank. Guys, do not do that. Because all my profits,
we'll get there.
All
get
my
there.
profits is Liukulo with the interest.
Yeah, we'll go there.
But other than that, DM'd, so a lot of the influencers either wanted to get paid or because they didn't know the brand, they didn't want to associate with it because it was still fairly new. So I was like, you know what, let me just start. Why not post myself? Why not post my friends who are authentically, they genuinely love this brand? Why not post their friends who are, because it just happened organically. Like I would post and then someone would be like, oh my God, I like this, buys, and then they actually tag my personal page. Like, oh my God, I got this from Neema Nkatha. So it became, so that's how it just started. Yeah.
Okay. I think we've just started and I'm already getting very many learnings from your story. And I think the one that's standing out mostly is you are solving a problem for yourself. See, most people are usually out here asking, what business should I start?
Yes.
What should I do? And one thing that I've understood over the years is you will always find a problem for yourself. And if it's a problem to you, it's a problem to other people. That you'll just know. So like if you complain about traffic, there's probably a business there.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah?
Exactly. Because the whole point of entrepreneurship is to find a solution to a problem.
Yes.
That's the whole point. And actually what happened now from that personal need, around between 2018, late 2018 to 2019, World Health Organization, they put out a statement noting that Africans have the highest drowning deaths in the world, which is about 15, 20 times higher than in developed countries. So, and you know, it is, and swimming is an essential skill. And while
you need to say that again, because I have a lot of adult friends who I don't know what they call, whether they call that swimming, But you know the people who koroga water?
Yes, yes.
That is not swimming.
Exactly. But it is an essential skill.
Yes.
And that's where now our vision came into play, because I wanted to change that narrative of Africans and even Black people can't or don't swim. Because there's a lot of stigma like, oh, we don't enter the water because of our hair or this, or because of, there's a lot of history that goes into that.
Pool parties where everyone is outside.
Exactly, literally. No one enters the water.
Kumba, the real issue is swimming. It's not,
Exactly.
It's not.
So I was like, you know what? So that's why my vision now became to be the leading brand championing for African swimming. And I wanted to create swimwear that not only celebrates our culture, but also gives people the confidence to step into the water, and the knowledge also. Give them access to knowledge that, that can help them, step into the water, learn about swimming, learn about all this stuff,
Now, let's take a step back. Now, at 2018, you're uni.
Yes.
Was there any corporate experience?
What did you do?
Is there a
Prior?
corporate Neema? Sorry, I don't know why I keep it like that. Because I think you're
Depends where
bougie.
you're from.
I think you're bougie. So I have to say Neema. It sounds like. And by the way, in case anyone is wondering why, we'll try and put some of the some of the costumes on the screen. But it's July. Kuna baridi. We couldn't wear costumes for this episode. But ideally, that would have been the best. But anyway, is there a corporate side of you? Which one do you wear? There's so many things inside. So there's the creative. There's the founder, obviously, which is the business side. And then there's a corporate part of it. I mean, which one shows up? And at what point? Are you designing the swimwear yourself? Have you now created a team? That first round when you did it, where did the designs come from? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
So for me, I usually say I'm a business person first. I'm an entrepreneur first. I'm not a fashion designer.
Good.
So that's how I show up in everything. And I wanted to build a company. I didn't want to build I didn't want to just create designs. So, and I do have corporate background because all through uni, I was working in the investment field. So I was in real estate, and then I did fund management. And then that was my 1 year off, because that was the year I was graduating, 2018. So, and then this just happened to fall on my lap, the idea. And I was like,
Pun intended.
Yes.
Dive in.
So it's been
in
You just had to throw
I
that
just had to.
dad joke.
So earlier on, the first thing that came to mind was the business side, because now, as I said, I was studying finance. So I didn't know, I had to learn about now the creative side, the fashion side, because now I was just like, okay, how do I learn how to design, or can I have someone who can help me design some, like I can have a friend and then we can start this together. I tell them the idea, this is what I want. So it was just a lot of trial and error. So I did, some of them were my designs, personal designs, but for the most part, as we've continued growing, I let that go completely.
Good.
So now I just focus on, the business side.
That's a very good thing, and a lot of learning for a lot of people. We sometimes, at the starting point, a lot of businesses get stuck in the two parts as a business owner. You're either working in the business or on the business. Right. And when you're working in the business, it will be now you doing the...
And I've seen a lot of that in this creative space, because a lot of them, the people I've interacted with, the way you've said, they're just creatives. They don't know how to turn it into a business. So they have no idea. I'm like, here's the thing, you're not doing a charity. This is not an NGO. You want to sell. So you have to learn the business side, because your creative just comes naturally to your talent. So you have to learn the business side. That's very crucial, because you can't call yourself a business company or an entrepreneur, but you're not running it you're not working on the business, or is it... You're
working in the business or on the business.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in between here, is there... what were the initial challenges, and maybe even now, what are the challenges now, and something that nobody talks about that is there?
That nobody talks about?
Yeah.
Okay.
That I don't want to qualify the question too much. Feel free to go about it the way you feel.
That nobody talks about, because I do know one of the biggest challenges is funding, but I know people talk a lot about that, especially in the creative sector. But one of the things I think is just building a system in your business, because I did not have a system at all. Like,
When you say building a system, what does that really mean?
Like
For someone
you
who
have
doesn't
to have,
understand.
you have to have some sort of structure. See what works, see what doesn't work. And let me see how I can phrase this. So for me, one thing I've done with my business and I'm very intentional about is I want to remain small for as long as I can, just to see what works, what doesn't work. So that once we scale and we continue getting bigger and bigger, I can replicate that. I'm like, okay, so this works, this doesn't work. So by system, I mean like you can just check different parts of, your business. So you can have like, let's say even just content, for instance, like the Ohana content. We have to have a content calendar. So we're not just posting randomly. So there's usually a difference between there's the deep engagement and there's just like people just come for viewership or whatever. But the deep engagement, the likes, exactly. Deep engagement is the one that translates into sales.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, when do people actually view this? When is the best time to post at what time? Which days? Which whatever. So we have to such things, small things, and also when it comes to like you have to have also a system in terms of logistics delivery. Okay, so which. How am I working with the riders? What's the time frame? How first do they get the orders? How whatever. When our customers come on our page, what are the frequently asked questions? That's how can we make the experience better? That you don't even have to. You don't have to keep asking the same, because as you said, if one person asks one, I'm sure a million people have the same type of questions. So you just go improving, see what works, what doesn't work, and for each different companies, it's different needs. So I think one of the things is people rush to scale.
Yeah. So
And
you want to be
that's-
big.
And you have no idea what works or what doesn't work. Because a lot of companies I've seen, a lot of startups in Kenya, they rush to raise funds and they rush to scale. But then once you get there, you'll see someone has raised 10 million, whatever. But then 5 months later, they shut down.
Yeah, because they also
Why?
scaled
Because
the
they didn't have a
problems.
system in place. They didn't know what works, what doesn't work. Like money doesn't solve everything, because you might put the money in the wrong things. So that's why I said for me, I want to be a small for as long as I can.
That's a very good mindset. Like every single time you're small for that time, for
Yes.
that thing, then once you figure it out, now that can be scaled.
Exactly.
scale it up.
You don't scale chaos.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly. And I had to learn different aspects of my business, each thing. So I know even if I get like a social media guy, you're not Tony Pastors a Jabba. Like I know what happens here. If I get an accountant, I know what happens. So that's what I mean. So you have to have systems in place. Yeah.
Is that a learning that's come over time or
Yes.
from day one?
It's come over time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's come
What
over
made
time.
you switch on that? Like I need to figure out the systems. What had happened?
Because I would get opportunities where I wasn't prepared for. So I can give you an example. In 2020, when COVID happened, and then that's the time in the US that George Floyd was killed, and then there was
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter movement. And then they started doing support Black-owned businesses. And then Lupita wore my
Yes.
swimwear and posted. And then that literally put us on the global map. That same day, we had 80,000 people on our website. And that actually,
80.
that's
And you didn't know-
80,000.
you didn't expect
I
them
didn't
to
know.
come.
I don't have, do you know, I was like, can I get Lupita's contact? I don't even, like, I till this day, Lupita, I know one day you'll watch this, so girl.
You reminded
money-
me
yeah.
of a story.
Yeah.
I think very similar to yours. It's a cookie brand in Dubai where the lady was narrating that they were very much e-commerce kind of brand. Like
Right.
you'll order, we'll prepare, we'll send.
Right.
Then one day she was flying from Dubai, I don't know to where. And so when she's on the flight, her phone is off. So she doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Then she lands and she gets like 100 missed calls. Then she's calling like, we've gotten like 2,000 orders and we
Yeah.
don't know what to do.
Exactly. And that was my story. You know, my phone was off that day. I was having a photo shoot because I was planning to launch the kids' swimwear. So I was actually with the kids and we were at the whatever. So my phone was off, on silent. And then I remember, so one of the parents of the kids who were there at the photo shoot, like, because my phone was at the table, was like, you actually keep getting so many calls. So I'm like, okay. I'm saying my sister's calling me, my brother is calling, the entire family is calling. So I'm like, okay.
What does
You know,
that
the
mean?
first thing, yeah, you're like, who's died? I was like, oh my God. And then I'm seeing so many like notifications, thousands and thousands and thousands online. Like I'm just seeing this one lecture. I was like, wait, who died actually? Because you know, when you get condolences message, you're suddenly popular. And then that's what happened. So at the time I was like, I had no system. I was literally just doing it as a hobby.
As
like-
a gig,
as
as we
a
like to
gig.
call it.
Yeah, because it wasn't a business. I had nothing in place. So that was now my wake up call. I was like, how will I fulfill all this? What should I do?
That question of systems, I want to go back there because I think it's a very important one. And it links back to that. You know, in Africa, in Kenya, let me say in Africa, the path to, especially on certain aspects. So if you manufacture bread, you are going to manufacture the bread and there will be a path to a supermarket, a shop, and so on and so forth. There are structures. There's a value chain that makes sense. So as a manufacturer, I know that when I make it, someone is going to come and pick and it will continue and continue. Certain sectors haven't benefited from that.
Yeah.
Like I would say fashion. Right now, if you own it, if you are in another part of the world, you probably would have gotten an order to Walmart or something and that value chain continues. So you don't have to own the product and the distribution and the marketing and
That's true.
Now coming back here, obviously the reality is tough, and there's something that either worked in your favor or didn't work in your favor.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what that is. Like I know there's the difficulty of, and even going back to that point of Lupita's situation, if there was a shop where these things were at, and you don't have to own that shop and you don't have to own it would have been a much easier conversation. But right now you have to build the product. I mean, it's complicated.
Yeah.
So what's something that has worked in your favor? Because we can't always talk about problems. And because you are building in Africa, not despite of it.
Yeah.
And maybe before, sorry, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
What happened? Did you fulfill those orders?
Yes,
Okay.
I did. It took a while, but what happened that day is because we sold out, as I said, I had very few pieces. So what I did is now I would just tell, when we were responding now to the emails, like, I'm sorry, this is sold out, but we're currently in production and kindly give us this timeline. Yeah. and I there's that effect also when it's sold out.
Yeah.
Or like,
Scarcity,
it's scarcity, exactly effect.
Yeah.
So that actually worked out for us.
You know the way they put in real estate bill, 80% sold.
Exactly.
Kuna kanyumba hata kamoja
So
kamoja.
that worked in our favor because a lot of them, what worked also, because one thing I realized also was like, this website doesn't work very well because the swimsuits were sold out, but people are still ordering.
Yeah, 'cause you can't
the
see it
payment
sold
is, So I was like, that's one of the things I was like, hold up. So that's why, so I used that money because now it became now like a pre-order because people have already paid. So I was like, I'm sorry, but we're currently in production and we shall have this, we shall, you shall have your swimwear within certain time frame. And they were like excited about it because, as you said, the scarcity effect.
Okay. That it was important for us to not miss that part. But now let's jump into this other part. What has worked in your favor?
As I said, every business is different. And swimwear, I understand why people haven't done it. What?
It's tough.
Now you know.
Yeah. Because first of all, swimwear in general is a seasonal product.
Like right now, obviously.
Yes. And then we came from COVID. And then we had elections in Kenya. And then we had floods. So it's like one thing after the other. There are natural calamities that you can't account for. But I think for me, what worked in my favor, and I noted this very quickly, was why not do B2B in the sense of create, but this one we haven't put it online and everything. So we started with the beachwear, like the bikinis, everything that looks nice, that made us go, like everyone is excited. That's what they share. But then I was like, there are people who actually, there's a community, a swimming community. So why not create? And they use generic swimwear companies from abroad, or so why not create something for them that actually they'd be proud to wear, and they actually use it, that they repeat customers. So now I tapped into that. I was like, hey, we can create this for your swim team,
So you're not trying
for
to
the swim clubs.
You're not necessarily trying to create a new market. You're using what's already there.
Exactly.
Solving for that. Okay.
Exactly. And a lot of them, because they were like, we've never seen actually African print. Like, is it functional? So I had to learn, okay, like, let me now actually do the functional. Let me step from the fashion side, aesthetic, and now behind the scenes, now start doing B2B. So approach like swim teams, the kids, the swim clubs, the schools, all that stuff. So I noted that very quickly, and I was like,
Where do the majority of where does it come from? Is it it's all import, obviously, but is it from the shops? Is it Mtush?
What, the fabric?
Market.
Like the current market.
Oh, the markets. The swimwear.
What people are buying? Is it coming?
What people are? Oh my goodness! It's a lot of them are is secondhand.
It's Mtumba.
Mtumba, because you see, like, you've seen, even on Insta, like these shops, they'll be like, oh, swim cost you 500, 1,000. So a lot of them, I noticed, it comes from there. Yeah, so it's they just import secondhand Mtumba. Yeah, and then the others, there's two extremes again, because there's the Mtumba, or there's the ones, the newer ones, but now it's, again, from this, we can go to Nairobi Sports House. It's from these huge brands. So like
Speedo
Nike, Speedo, US Arena. But the prices are also very, so it's, there's no in between. So I tried to beat the in between. I tried to beat the in between.
And are schools doing, I don't know whether I speak for everyone, but a lot of us, when we went to school, there are some who had the privilege of having swimming pool, swimming in the schools. Is that something that has improved? Is it something that's, and does it have any effect?
It does have a huge effect. Swimming should be part of the curriculum. And unfortunately, this is a privilege to just private schools and most of private schools. And I do know, like, I know during Kibaki's time, former president, when he was doing the free education, a lot of public schools also benefited from, because they built pools as well. They built structures for sports, whether it's football, basketball. They got a lot of foreign aid funding for such things and sponsorships. So, but now, honestly, there's been a huge decline, a really, really huge decline. So I would say I just know of private schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a correlation sports-wise? And this is just me blue sky dreaming, between our prowess in like long distance running, and how it can be translated into swimming? I don't know. Is there, because you give most Kenyans, well, not most, from the community that we know, give them a track, they will run.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there a correlation between that and potential of swimming? Because I know you're involved in like Little Fish Club and is it Little Fish Club? Or
Yes, it's one of the swimming clubs.
Is there an opportunity there that's not being seen?
I would say for swimming, yes, because a lot of people don't even know this. Kenya was banned for the longest time. Kenya was banned from participating in the Olympics, and
for swimming.
Yes, for swimming.
Is that before Jason Danford or after?
Jason is this was before, because I know last year we participated. But now right before, so last year was the first time now Kenya got accepted back, and the reason why Kenya was Team Kenya, Olympic Kenya, whatever, is because of corruption, mismanagement in in those official positions, in the bodies, because first of all, there's no financing. It was like, guys, as you know, corruption, the finances don't go to who it's supposed to go to. And the trainings and the coaches, none of that. So Kenya got disqualified for a long period of time. But now, off to your question. The correlation.
Is there something we are missing? Is there something
can we be better?
Can we be? Do we have good swimmers?
We do have really good swimmers. But it's just that it hasn't been focused on. There's no spotlight on swimming currently, and that's what we're trying to do. to just put that spotlight, because we're known for running. And so since we're known for running and that's what's put us on the map, a lot of funding and a lot of support goes to just that. Because if you think about it, we have great basketballers, we have great, and now NBA is in Africa.
Yeah.
You know, and then, so I think it's just a matter of focusing and spotlighting. Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to Ohana, and probably not just Ohana, but maybe you can speak for the fashion industry as a whole. Is there anything that's working for you now that you're building your business from Africa? So when you think fashion, you think Europe, you think whatever. Is there anything that's working for you guys because you're in Africa? Same way like Afrobeats is now taking over the world. Is there anything that's rubbing off on the fashion industry?
Yes, I think, and they say think global, but build
local.
Local.
Okay.
That's very important, because even Ohana, we think global, but you have to adjust according to the realities, as you said. So for us, one of the things that works is the fact that it's African print.
Nobody out there can just go and
yeah, exactly. And it's I feel like people can, even if you start your own African print swimwear, people can know this is Ohana. That's huge. So I think us being the premier brand, it really helped us a lot. And just sticking to that niche of just being African print, that really worked for us. And also just knowing the Kenyan market. As I said, there are things that would work here that wouldn't necessarily work in Nigeria, that wouldn't necessarily work in South Africa.
Do you have an example?
We can come back to that as I think through. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But swimming, it's such a... Okay, I started swimming quite early. I was lucky enough to go to a school that had a pool, and we were... Actually, it wasn't like... I always tell people it wasn't like in a nice way. It was like the school I went to was a pre-colonial school. So there was a pool there.
Yeah, myself as well.
Yeah, so now, but the way we were introduced to swimming, it wasn't like in a nice introductory way. It was, I remember you're in class 1, the guy stands there with a long pole, and then you're thrown inside. Drowning was a must.
Yeah.
So you drown, and then he gives us like his stick,
So the
pulls
old
you to the
school way.
side, and that is... So you will deal with that trauma until you figure it out.
Right.
And then obviously there were structures.
Yeah.
Well, there's a swimming teacher maybe, but you will learn more from other people doing it than you yourself like going into like a structure. So I really wish that it improves. I don't know how it happens nowadays.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things is starting from the ground.
Right.
For her would be amazing. And I know that's why I was asking about materials. Is there a unique way in which a swimming costume is made that can translate into maybe running gear? Like those things I see for runners.
I mean, there's
the
a lot
tights.
of science and tech that goes into making, especially the training swimwear. Because Speedo, I know they really invest into the tech. Because there's a way, a specific time, it has to be seamless to help with because when you dive, so there's a lot of science that goes into that 100%. That can translate into now when you say
how it can be done into other things as well.
How
because Speedo don't just do swimming.
Exactly.
Stuff.
So it translates into like, let's say, running the tracks, the tight tracks that they use as well. Because also, they sweat, and it's the sweat has to, it
regulating
has,
heat.
Exactly, regulating heat and water, all that stuff. So there's a lot of science that goes behind that. Yeah.
Okay.
And to go back to your question, I do have an example how it's very different. What's worked here? So even just using the example countries I've mentioned, like let's say SA and Nigeria, because they're African countries, they have a lot of support. They really invest in their creative economy, and they're backed up, whether it's not only just finances, but they do have the audience, the market.
The market is big.
The market, because people do support, like even when you say Afrobeats, it started like people actually support their own, you know, and then that's how they became big. So even in the fashion, like Nigerians actually wear every single day. Like I've been to Botswana, Ghana, and okay, I didn't go to SA, but so I was invited Forbes 30 under 30 Africa, the first when they first brought it to Africa. So I was part of that
cohort,
yeah, let's call it that. But we were showcasing Ohana at the time, and I remember with SA, this billionaire Motsepe, so was one of the key guests. But you know, the wife has actually invested a lot of capital in the fashion industry in South Africa. So she brought a lot of the brands there, and she built this huge platform. It's called African Fashion, African Fashion International. Yeah, if I remember correctly, and she's put them in so many different platforms, like not just in SA, but across the world. Like recently, last year, she was at the Met Gala, and she wore like South African designers, and she opened her boutique, now open to the, US market, global. So they do have that support internally. Whereas in Kenya,
you're kind of by yourself.
but
you're on your own until you make it big. It's kind of like Jesus, how in his own hometown, people are like, this guy is just a carpenter. Why is he, I can't go to the carpenter's son for a miracle. And, Jesus wasn't accepted in his own hometown. So it's the same thing. Until you make it big, now that's when people want to associate with you.
Is that a Kenyan
is
thing?
it?
It's a Kenyan culture,
But
100%. As I said, when I started, people did not want to associate with me. It was just like my friends and friends of
it's
friends.
more of what you're not bringing anything for me. Yes,
exactly. You're not exactly, and they want to associate with who you know. Because a lot of people were wearing. You'd see a lot of influencers wearing Gucci or this international brands, but you're not supporting your own. Up until it started becoming popular, now wear Kenyan, whatever. Let's support Kina Sauti Soul generation. Up until it became mainstream, that's when everyone is jumping into, wear Kenya, buy Kenya, let's, But before that, you're on your own.
Is it a chicken and egg? What is is it really a chicken and egg? Is there a degree to which whatever is being created has to get to a certain point, and then people, because it's an association thing?
Yes.
But what is it?
Because I've seen very talented people do not have the same, they don't have the same privilege, because we don't know you and you're not as big. So once you get there, I'll wear your brand. And I'm like,
but what is it about Kenyans that
makes us like that?
way?
you guys tell me.
Let's look at ourselves individually. How many Kenyan things do you? I mean, there are spaces that you trust Kenyan brands more.
In fashion, yes.
Okay.
In music,
My
yes.
belt is from Eden Leather.
My shoes are
Nitaongea
Kitukali.
tu kweli. Yeah, this is Kenya.
Yes.
So I guess it starts with your own personal.
Exactly.
You have to ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
In your playlist,
How much Kenyan
How
is
much
there?
Kenyan music do you consume?
do
Because in TZ, just our neighbors here, they support Diamond.
Fully.
Like a whole Diamond alone can fill a whole stadium.
Okay.
Barapa?
Maybe that's a conversation for. I think
this
it needs
whole
a bigger
subject is a
discussion.
whole discussion by itself.
Yeah.
I want to go back to money though, because I think you spoke about the
My
fundraising,
favorite topic.
and obviously that's a space you're very comfortable in. You said that initially you went to a bank.
Right.
Terrible decision according to you at the moment.
I would not advise.
So maybe let's talk about that. What's been
Right.
your most humbling or reality about fundraising, pitching, or resource mobilizing, all of those words that you could probably use?
Yeah. I think each experience has been humbling in its own way because I've tried very different experiences. So we can start with just borrowing from a bank with no credit at all. Like at that point, I just had... what helped me is I used my parents as guarantors.
Okay.
So they signed off and my dad's like, this better work because otherwise they'll take my car. I'm like, Neema, what are you? So that's why I started with a few pieces. And I learned early on, the most humbling thing, if you take from a bank, guys, you will not earn anything because their interest rate will take all your profit. Because now I started all over again. Because I sold all the swimwear that December. And then the money I'd made that I wanted to use it and, make more swimwear was taken by the bank interest. So I was like, my dad was like, yeah, this is your first lesson in finance. So I was like,
And that
okay.
fraction that created didn't create room for more orders. Let me put it that way.
No, it did, but we're not doing pre-orders because swimwear, one of actually, back to your question when you asked, one of the biggest challenges I've had in the swimwear industry is that you can't do pre-orders because with swimwear, we do mass production. We don't custom make. It's very hard to custom make considering we're importing the fabric. So it's not necessarily very hard, but very expensive. Because for me to import just that one fabric and to create your unique piece and your unique pattern and cut, that would cost over, I don't even know. Like it's very hard. So we do mass production. And with mass production, it's not like you have the pre-orders beforehand. You have to have the money beforehand to pay the suppliers, to pay the factory and everything. So number one, I learned very early on, and unless it's your last resort, don't do banks. Also, banks don't support new business and high risk. As I said, for me, I'm fortunate enough to use my parents as guarantors. So that's how, but it was also, I wasn't asking for a lot of money. Another thing is, I now started using angel investors. So I was like, you know what, let me ask my relatives.
For the benefit of everyone, can we say what angel investors are before people think you are meditating?
I'm praying God. So angel investors are how do I put it in layman's language? So it can be people like your relatives who want to help you. Inner circle who want to help you, inner circle who want to help you grow your business. And they're not ruthless like VCs and the rest. They're not out for your business.
They're not really into it just for the money.
Yeah, they're not out for your business, or they won't take a huge share of because you can have different agreements, whether it's equity, whether you're just taking as a loan. And they give you, what I like about angel investors, they also give you time to grow your business. You're not given a time, like a term sheet is not limited to, you have to pay back within this 1 year. If it doesn't work out 1 year, you can just go back to your uncle and be like, hey.
And before you even to move to the next, it's one of I find it is very successful as a model, because when you look at certain communities, and I hope it's okay to say this, but you look at like for example, like the Muslim community, they fund a lot of their business through that.
Right.
So I want to say that's why they never, and as a result, you end up not doing small things. You end up doing big things. So if they're going to buy a restaurant in town, right now, a lot of them own the Safaricom shops in town. It's because they're going to pull resources immediate
together,
and it's going to benefit. And they do huge numbers. I mean, they probably own buildings in this city, and
no, they do.
So it's not. It shouldn't be looked at as a thing to borrow 50,000 only.
Yeah,
it's something that people do to be. But I'm sure trust and all of those other conversations are going to happen. But yes, you are going on. So,
but entrepreneurship is shameless. Don't get shamed. Borrow your pesa. But you also have to approach it from a business angle also, not just also taking advantage of your friends and relatives or your close knit circle.
And also do something meaningful.
Exactly. So, but that's essentially now what I did. I just enjoy investing, and that's actually what helped my business, honestly, till today. So I haven't done fundraising. I haven't done.
So no more bank stuff.
Yeah, no.
Maybe operationally.
Yes, but banks.
It's tough.
We're on a break. Social distance.
So and in between there, was there a time you were like, I'm done with this thing? Was there I'm quitting?
Yes. I've had so many of those moments.
And and then you'll tell us after that what you did to bounce back.
Yeah. Sometimes I've had to, build from pain, and not necessarily, in some situations, it's not even necessarily that the business is not working. It's that I'm not really okay, because it takes a toll. So if this is not working, then earlier on, first major red flag I did was a lot of my identity was in my brand. My personal identity was in my brand. So now when anything is happening in my personal life, like when I got into depression, it affected my business. And that's honestly, it's not sustainable. So that's actually really
And I think the systems also come into
exactly because now I was the one doing everything. So my business was really suffering. And at that point, it's like, oh my God, I really don't want to do this. I remember I had an office, CBD, Kemu Towers, no, Kemu Hub, my first office. So I remember I was sitting on the floor because I was just like, okay, I finished all the money, COVID. And that was when COVID hit because we did the photo shoot, everything. No one was obviously anticipating COVID. So this was 2019. So I put all the money in production, in, not marketing, but basically production, whether it's swimwear production or like photo shoots, all that campaign, basically the campaign. And then come the next year, COVID hits, everything shuts down. Like national border, international, boutiques, hotels, no one is traveling.
No public spaces.
No public
no
spaces.
one is swimming.
No one is
You're only
swimming.
swimming in the problems.
Yeah, even if you have a pool in your house, you're not going to the water because you don't know what this corona is. So and then the swimwear arrives. So
Oh, Lord.
I'm just there. That's why I was on the floor because I'm just there. And that's the time, because remember I started in 2018. So that's the time I've just gotten the money from my angel investors.
Oh, Lord.
I've asked my uncle, I've asked my dad's friend, sort of poured all this money and I just sat down there. I was just like, God, what am I going to do? Like, I can't. Like, hey, COVID really tested me.
Do you think you could have done anything different?
No, because no one,
Nobody anticipated it.
nobody anticipated that. Like, no one. Every business was affected.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, like, no one, those things that happen, let's say the Great Depression, no one anticipated that. Those phenomena that happen in the world. Yeah. So.
Okay. But so progress is pain plus reflection. So that pain
Yes.
happened, you
Hey,
reflected.
deep.
So you reflected. Assuming another pandemic would have comes in 2 months,
Wait.
do you think you'd be in the same situation
No.
now? So
No.
what have you done differently now?
Do you know, like, I would say, like, to use that situation as an example, I feel like my successful fuck up that time, now when I got into depression and I was very low, unknowingly, I started building my personal brand became strong in the sense of now I was authentic and real. I was no longer this business. Now people started relating with me from a very authentic and raw and real place. And they were like, oh my God, I think they even related more with the swimmer because a business is not just the product. They buy into the person or the values or the culture
story.
of the company. So now with that, I did know that's what was happening. So I was like slowly coming to, sharing your story, talking to people, posting, and that opened me up. I learned, first of all, to separate
The two.
my personal identity, exactly, and business. But with that switch up came also a lot of opportunities that I did not expect. Because now with building the personal brands and just connecting even more, because a lot of our engagement actually grew during COVID. Like a lot. Because now we now was like, okay, since we're not selling, everyone is online, let's keep them engaged. Let's make this fun. Hop onto trends. We were doing those Don't Rush challenges, all that stuff with the costume.
When I hear those songs, I just cringe.
I can't even
Don't
listen
rush.
to those songs anymore. Yeah, as we're doing
You're
like,
changing clothes in your kakona.
So we're doing that with the swimwear. So we have like 5 different girls. Everyone is in their home, and then you're
Oh, that was
dropping.
a pass it on thing.
You're dropping,
Yeah.
you're dropping
Oh,
your
Lord.
whatever. Someone
We
catches
never
it,
go
and then.
back there.
But you see, with such situations, I was able to get major contracts that's from just my personal brands that also helped me save my business. Because now one I can mention was like Magical Kenya, because now I got to travel around the country and I was like, how can we have a fusion of, Magical Kenya and Ohana brands, so I was like, okay. So
would you say that there was most of us would agree that COVID, yes, was tough, but there's something positive that came out of it.
right.
Some industries even grew.
Exactly.
I think e-commerce grew.
Yeah.
I want to believe hiking.
Yeah,
If
hiking
you are
grew.
business in hiking,
Yeah.
people hiked more, and even now, because you are reflective of your own personal. Is there something that came out of it positive?
Other than what you've told us. Yeah.
Yes, because for us, as I said, it just made me look at business from a different perspective. And I was like, you know what, since everyone is online, let me create actually a huge presence online and actually take online business seriously, because now all eyes are, so let's take advantage of this situation. Yeah.
Okay.
So
And-
it just made me realize you can just run a business online.
So it was a sort of like you don't need a shop. And
You don't need a
everything.
shop. Because I was like, that money that you're using, I was like, I don't even need this office. Literally, I can just work from my bedroom.
There's another
Can go
floor.
to
again.
Java.
And yeah, I can go to Java, work from my bedroom if I don't have meetings or whatever. And literally, yeah,
So bootstrapping
exactly.
in a sense.
Yeah.
So was that like the blessing in the resilience, I would say?
Yes.
Or in what you would call a failure.
Yeah,
Has there been like a major failure that you felt, oh God?
A major failure.
It doesn't have to be major. Okay, major. Let's leave it as that.
I
Is the
think
word-
I don't know if you'd consider this a major failure. I would, from a business point of view, is earlier on, again, right before COVID, because we were scaling so high. I was really into scaling, like, I don't have structures in place, all that. And one of the things I did was I trusted names. So, for instance, we were stocking with boutiques, resorts. So I'd be like, as long as you're 5-star, 4-star, like I'd
Things
approach
will
you,
happen.
whatever. And what happened is when COVID hit, one of I won't mention the hotel, but it's a 5-star hotel in Coast. So they got vandalized, and there was a looting, and a lot of we lost all of our merchandise. So it was like over 100,000 worth of our swimwear was gone. And that's
Is that
actually
dollars or shillings? No, we
Kenya
have an
shillings.
international audience.
Kenya,
So.
Kenya shillings. And that made me, it was so painful. I was just losing all this money that I'm getting from angel investors. But that's actually, that's why I'm calling that a failure, is because what clicked in me, I was like, you know what? I need to stop actually trusting in names. I actually need to run this as a business. So every time it's changed how I approach partnerships, how I approach collaborations. Because now I'll be like, okay, I'd have to look at, what's your insurance policy here? What are the contracts? What are, is it, what's the long-term sustainability between? So it's really helped me. It was a painful lesson, but it really helped me avoid a lot of the pitfalls, because just because you have a good name out here doesn't necessarily mean you have behind the scenes the structures, as I said, structure or this partnership would work. So it helped me, over the long run, because now we have great partnerships and I'm very intentional. Yeah.
No, that's a very good point. Because, I think we've all done this, where you have, when you're starting something, you always have a picture, if I could partner with,
Yeah.
and none of those partnerships ever work out
Exactly.
until you realize what is right next to you.
Exactly.
And those are the ones that actually matter, including people.
Yes.
Sometimes, and especially in a service business, we've put our minds and said, oh, we need this person because they are coming from here. And then that person who's coming with the best CV, so to speak, becomes the most rubbish human you've ever imagined. And you'd rather, build with someone who is next to
Exactly.
you, who shares the same vision and has the same like-minded sort of like elements that you values.
And I did that as well with Ohana, because one of our first brand ambassadors, huge following, whatever. But I was so excited, because like, oh my God, we'll whatever. But I later learned, when now looking back, I'm like, people are just following her for the drama, for this, not. So we were involved in a lot of, because now a lot of association would go, it's like, oh, that's your Hana model or your ambassador. I was like, yo, we're not associated like that. So I had to also, as I said, grow with actually the right type of, models and ambassadors as well. So
So how do you choose now?
Honestly, the first thing off the bat is I always just look for people who genuinely love the brand, because people can tell if you're faking, if this is just an ad, because there are people who are genuinely like, because they'll buy from you because they're like, oh my God, you actually love the brand. So for me, it's off the bat, number one, you just love Ohana. Like I usually ask them, what do you love about Ohana? Because a lot of the girls I've actually used were I wouldn't want to call them fans, but most of them were actually previous clients, customers they've bought, and I just see them posting. They'll DM me, they'll whatever, and I'm like, oh, would you want to have a shoot with us? Or like when I go to events, they'll approach me, and I was like, those are actually the best people to hire because first of all, they genuinely love the brand and they just push it organically, and it shows. And yeah, they'll go the extra mile for you. So literally, I just go with whoever loves you. Build your community.
So it's nothing to do with data. It's instinct.
I have used a lot of, now that I have a lot of personal growth, instincts goes a long way over data in some situations. You'd rather have, as I said, this person had 500,000 million followers. We weren't getting sales. Over this person who has 30K followers, but just the instinct because they genuinely love the brand and they're constantly posting every holiday, whatever. And like it just sells because now they'll also sell, like the entire family have Ohana, their friends have Ohana. You know, it just...
It's very believable.
Yeah, exactly. So
so now I know you mentioned something like you there's a time you were falling into some depression and whatnot.
Right.
Was it all related to business?
No.
It wasn't.
No.
But now going back to the same spot,
But business was a major part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how has entrepreneurship changed who Nkatha was at 2018 and now?
Well, I think the best compliment I get now is you've changed. If someone says you've changed or you've grown, I'm like, that's the best. Thank God. I'm not the person I was before. Because I do feel like success is about who you become. It's not necessarily what you do. It's at the end of the day who you've become. And I think I've just learned to be mentally strong. And I had to change my lifestyle. Like I had to... The funny thing, because I see like a lot of people, especially when I watch podcasts, I see a lot of people ask, like successful people, like, okay, so what's the secret? What you know what I mean? And it's all the same. Like, be disciplined. Have this, whatever works for you. Some people can be like, I wake up at 5 a.m. Others can be 9, whatever. So that's the thing. Just it changed because I learned to be disciplined. I was like, okay, let me actually figure out my structure, what works. Let me feed my mind because whatever you feed grows. Whatever you engage with grows. So I was like, you know what? Let me actually start engaging with positive things, business stuff that will help me grow my business. Let me learn. Let me teach myself things. That period during COVID, I started learning software engineering. So I got into Python. I did different, I took a course in entrepreneurship as well. Like when the world was going under, I was like, you know what? Let me go back and actually deal with the structure of the business and the foundation. I may not have sales now, but let me actually lay the foundation. So a lot of that, it's, and the compounding effect, because you don't know, you've changed up until now. When you meet someone a year later, it's like, oh my God, even the conversations you're having, So I think, I stopped being naive. I stopped.
I think it's related to your systems thing. It's just that now it's systems from a personal level.
But you have to grow from a personal level to grow the business because it intertwines. The business can't grow if you haven't grown. Yeah. And especially if you're the leader, if you're the visionary behind the business, you have to also grow as a person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as you're moving, you're kind of like changing, not kind of, you actually are changing the next wave of doing things. What I'm curious about is, who do you hope is watching, and
Wow.
what do you want them and what do you want them to see?
Wow. Where do I start?
At the beginning.
In the beginning. Wow. It's so
Including
funny.
it could be yourself, it could be your past self, it could be whatever.
It's so funny you asked that. The power of manifestation. I remember when I watched Lupita and she got the Oscars in 2016. And when I started Ohana, I wrote in my book, like, I hope Lupita wears Ohana one day.
Really?
I wrote that. And do you know how I remembered? Because that day she wore and she posted, now after the photo shoot when I got back home, because I completely forgotten. I went back, so I'm just like, one thing my dad taught me is document your journey, document everything. So I went home, I got my notebook, and I'm trying to write, okay, this date, this month, whatever, what was I doing, how I'm feeling like in real time, because I put my phone off, it was so overwhelming, but I was like, let me actually write down everything I'm feeling. That same book, the first page I see, I wrote that in 2018, like literally
Nice.
And I was just like, what?
Now, people joke about this manifesting thing,
Yeah,
but me, I
not- yeah.
believe in it.
I
Well,
do.
it is.
Because once you manifest and then you let it go, you don't worry about the how. God works with the how. You just follow the assignments, your calling, and it happens.
It's good that you said that, because sometimes we make the mistake of putting ourselves in too much of the planning.
Yeah,
And I think that's where we go wrong even with manifesting.
right.
You want to dictate every single detail. I will go here and then I will do this and then I will do this. But the reality is create an outcome and let it be.
Exactly.
And then
let it go.
Let it go.
Even forget about it. Just as long as you're doing
You're doing what
whatever
you
you
need
need
to
to
do.
do, forget about it. And yeah.
Right now, do you want to... I feel like asking her that question.
What?
Do you want to manifest something right now?
So that we
Publicly.
can come back to it.
We can come back.
And please carry us along in the manifestation.
You can think about it.
Yeah, let
It's
me
a
think
ser-
about it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a serious.
Yeah, that's a very serious thing.
Yeah.
Because I think we
And
we
I don't
do it
joke
often.
about, we don't do it often. And a lot of people also, you also have to learn the art of manifesting. As you said, a lot of the things why it doesn't work is you're so focused on the how. You can be like,
You're
you
trying
see
to
the way-
control.
Yeah,
trying to
you're
control,
things.
That's why so many of my business relationships or partnerships or whatever didn't work, because I was like, okay, so this is how I'm going to get, this is how I'm going to do, this is how, and then none of them works. And then suddenly I let it go. I'm like, okay, let me just do what works every single day. And suddenly I've gotten this contracts, I've gotten this, or this happened, or like the design museum, how, I keep, every day I keep waking up like, how
How
am
did
I
you do
that?
in
Oh, my
London?
God.
How is Lupita? How is, but it's stuff like I've written down and I don't realize, and you let it go. Yeah. So,
So you're going to come back with that.
okay.
You have to give us a manifestation.
Okay.
And it will be said that it was here.
Yes.
First had here.
And so now going back there, if you could challenge like African entrepreneurs to do one thing, what would that thing be?
Something that you think is holding us back.
Actually, let me put it in a more granular way. Something that they should make their next move.
I think what I'll say is don't rush to scale. Honestly, just stay small until
You have
you
mastered
see
that
what
smallness.
works so that you can copy paste as you scale. Because I know as I said, a lot of entrepreneurs in Kenya, Africa, they rush to scale. They rush to get that funding. You will do like a Series A, raise $10 million, whatever, and then it fails after 5 months, 10 months. We've seen a lot of that. And it's literally everywhere, not just in tech, fashion, in like, whatever kind of business. So a lot of people, they rush to scale because you want that glory, you want that, like, oh, I'm seeing it's working.
See the headline.
The headline. I'm like, that headline, hey,
It could rather even stay, but you're doing
yeah, you'd rather, exactly. Like the most successful businesses are not even in the headline. They're not getting those, it's not all glamorous and yeah. So I would say, honestly, stay small until you see what works.
And I think that still applies even when you become big. Because you look at the companies that succeed when they're big, still find a way of staying small. So like, let's say Apple, when they were coming up with the Mac or even the iPhone, it wasn't the whole company that was involved.
Yeah.
They chose a certain
cohort
group.
of people.
Exactly.
So they are small and they figure out what happens next. And I think that's also, even
And
when you're big.
that's the trick. For literally, don't rush to also get this. Because also, another thing, you ask 2 things. So stay small, and then also don't rush to get funding, like big money. Start, if you can bootstrap, if you can get angel, whatever you can, don't rush to get these VCs, outside investors, because they'll take a huge chunk of equity of your company initially, or you'll go into a loan, whatever. And a lot of these investors, the VCs, they don't really care about you or the business. They just care about their money. So you put pressure on the entrepreneur or on the CEO. So the CEO now, the vision now changes from what you actually were, what you actually
The
were
vision
to
to
build, the
surviving.
vision to build. Like let's say Ohana be the leading brand championing for African swimming. Now I'm just stressed like, oh my God, I need to actually get more funding. I need to whatever. And then that money you realize you put it in the wrong things, because I've seen a lot of them, they'd put into admin or, other things like you can't get a fancy office. You put into all the wrong things. You forget even your relationship with the customer. You forget actually, you'd rather build something that 100 people like love and come back over 1 million people who might like,
Even
So-
following.
Exactly.
You'd rather have a very strong following of 1,000 people
Yeah.
Like true fans.
than 10,000 who are just,
Wishy-washy.
wishy-washy
Yeah,
and
exactly.
whatnot.
So that's the thing. Don't rush to get funding to scale and just stay small until literally. That's my thing. Like I'm not ashamed
to say that.
To stay
And
small.
I think the word small is what confuses people.
Yeah,
Because, let's think of a big business. Safaricom, let's say, is a big business, right?
Yeah.
But it's small in Africa.
Right.
Yeah. So, the context of small depends on what you're looking at yourself as.
Yeah.
But if they sit down and think we are big, when you zoom out, you will find out that they are probably not. And therefore,
Exactly.
I think small shouldn't be looked at as the corner shop.
Yeah.
It's more of
It's like a mindset.
it's a mindset where you it's a fuel that you
Right.
use to make things work.
Right.
But this conversation of it all boils down to your view of abundance and your
Right.
view of scarcity.
Yeah.
Because if you want to be big, to be seen to be big, that is not coming from a point of abundance. It's coming from a point of scarcity and fear and
And also
fulfilling a
ego,
personal
self-esteem.
It's
whatever.
coming
looking
Yeah.
for validation.
It's
Validation,
not coming from a
exactly.
good place. It's not coming from a place of the possibilities I can create. It's coming
Right.
from how can I look nice or how can I be
Yeah.
seen in this thing. So you have a lot of people who look rich.
But behind it, and I know a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like I'm in this industry, and as I said, I'm a business person, so I know a lot of this people who I've seen. Like I'm seeing just the newspapers they've raised all this, but the workers are not being paid. Like I've interacted with, like the systems are not working, and a lot of them. That's why they have these white founders. That's how co-founders.
We were talking about that.
Yeah, because
And not to mean that it's bad.
no, it's not
just,
a bad thing. If it works for you, it works for you. That's the thing. But just, it's a lot of just that thing of the way you said,
looking fancy.
looking fancy and being associated with this. And you just take whatever definition small means to you. For me, I know small doesn't mean tiny. It just means like, okay, we've got this
Control.
in place. Control, exactly. So how do we get this side in place? Okay, this we didn't know how to whatever. How can we structure this? Slowly, compounding effect. Soon,
You don't even know how it becomes, but it becomes.
yeah.
Because as we were speaking about this, I do remember in this when was the first Java? I don't know the
I
exact
cannot
date,
remember.
Yeah.
but I know that the first one, if I'm not wrong, was somewhere in Adams.
Yeah.
I want to believe that there's something that they've mastered
Yeah.
to make it
The
possible
system,
for
because they're
them
all the same.
to-
You get the same experience. You get
Yeah.
so you see what works here, and then now you can replicate in other places.
You were saying something.
Okay. No, I was linking back to what you were saying and then to ask another question. So in our earlier discussion, the same one that we probably touched into this Renta Mzungu program, we had a debate around as Africans, what is holding us back? And one of the questions was, or one of the hypotheses that we raised was that for most of us, we are driven by the instinct to run away from something instead of running towards something.
Right.
Yeah. And now the question I have for you is, when we started this conversation and you were mentioning why you started Ohana, you started with a vision, which means
Right.
you are running towards something, not away
Right.
from something. So do you think having that vision is what's enabled you to still be here and still be successful despite all those valleys of despair that have come along the way? Do you think having that vision is that important?
100%. Having the vision is the blueprint for any business, because whatever you can. Here's the thing: it's not it's not such a straight line. You know, you can navigate, you can have all this. The way I've said, I've had to navigate, change partnerships, whatever, fail, whatever, but I'm still guided by my vision, which is to be the leading brand champion. So every decision I make is based off of that vision. So I was like, is this in line with Ohana? Because otherwise, I'll just be doing anything, you know, like I'll just be going with, oh, guys,
what's cool,
what's cool,
trendy.
what's trending, and that's not sustainable. Because people change their mind all the time. Today, they're cheering you, tomorrow, they're booing you, you know. So it's not like a vision is the most important thing a company or a business can have, because that is your guiding light, like your star. What is it called?
The North Star.
North Star, your North Star, exactly.
And sorry, I was even going to go ahead first.
I wanted to get a definition of this vision, because is me saying I want to make 10 million in 2 years, is that a vision?
No.
So what is a vision?
Money is a byproduct. Money comes,
It's an outcome.
Yeah, as a fact of this. What works is, are you trying to make an impact? Are you trying to make change? Are you trying to find a solution? Because what works, actually a lot of, if you, like even just see like the companies that are successful, at the companies that are dedicated to, you know, transforming people's lives or making, you know, people's lives easier or better in whichever way. Look at something like M-Pesa when it came about. It's like, oh, it made our life easier, like, you know, sending money, whatever it is. If you're transforming lives, if you're just, you know, it's, so money is a byproduct, I would say. Yeah.
So you shouldn't chase the money. The money will come if you are.
Yeah, because
it's almost like another conversation of manifesting.
You know, if you chase money, it'll run. If you chase money, it'll run. Like if you're desperate, you can tell if you're desperate. You have to attract success. You have to attract, because if you've seen successful people, like you're attracted to them. Opportunities just come to them because it's like, oh wow, I want to associate with this person. I'll be like, because for me, I'd think, okay, wow, if I want to have a deal, who am I looking? Oh, I'd like to, you know, hey, I have this, whatever, let's do whatever together. So, but if you look desperate and you're like, I just know this guy is all about money, he doesn't have any values, no impact, nothing. So I'll just be like, no.
Desperation comes from what? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, for many people, it's different. It's a personal thing, but it boils down to fear. Because also there's a fear of failure. There's, you know, you can't afford to provide for your family. Like,
is that desperation? You see,
no, where you'll end up doing desperate things, or you know, it's a byproduct. Yeah, you're running away. Yeah, like you do.
Because there are only two forces that make things move. I think there's fear is one, and fear leads you to making decisions that are not
right.
And then there's love. So if you want to transform, it comes from a point of love. If you want to change, it comes from a point of love. And as a result, then you become an attraction and not so much a...
Yeah.
If you're coming from a point of fear, you will come with other metrics of measurement, which include, and I'm not saying that making money is a bad thing.
Yeah,
making money is a beautiful thing, but it is an outcome that comes from...
Yeah, one of the two.
It comes from...
I do agree.
If you love something good enough, if you are in love with production and you want to do... you study it, you go and you observe great productions and you understand the dynamics of it, then when you're shooting this, it becomes something that people want to do, and as a result, you get new clients and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
As you're looking at yours, you are coming from a place of, I want to see myself and my identity while I'm at the beach.
Yeah.
And that love led you to then the creation of a product. The product which then attaches the same sort of energy to similar like-minded people.
Yeah.
And by the way, is this more of a thing? Are your clients mostly women or men?
Oh, it started as women. Now I'm so surprised. Now it's become men. Now that the men's shorts, beach shorts, were out of stock, I've just been getting men like, hey, can I get? It did start as women, honestly, but I've found the most consistent, like loyal who'd come back customers are either men
Really?
Or yes, because they would also buy for their partners or their
okay.
children. So for men, they don't just buy one, like they buy for the entire family.
Sio luku tu yako personal.
Exactly. So exactly. And also the modest, the Muslim culture as well, the Muslims. Because now we have the modest. And I thought the modest also appeals to not just the Muslims, but also people who like to cover up. Like them, like someone like my mom, you know, the older, the mature demographic.
You're finding a two-piece.
Yeah, I'm finding a two-piece. Oh, like, can I have that dress, bikini dress? And they actually come back. So, but men, yes, men over women. Yeah, because also the men, they want also their girls to look really good on vacation. So they would buy like...
When I'm there asleep.
Yeah, exactly.
On the day pit.
It's like a lot of them, they buy as gifts. So even like during Valentine's or a birthday, wanting to surprise or either their girlfriends, their wives, buy for the kids or even their sisters. So a lot of customers honestly have been men, and that really surprised me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They don't post. They don't send pictures. Women
But
are the
they
ones who
buy.
are comfortable. But they're the ones behind the scenes buying. Yes,
That's very
most
cool.
of them, yeah.
It's very cool.
So kudos to you guys.
I will say
Support
this.
women owned. Yeah,
I
y'all are
will say
supporting.
this. I need to be more serious about my attire when I go for swimming.
Yes.
Also, I need to plan swimming better because I think it just happened.
But you know, it's a multi-purpose because the reason I started with the beach shorts was not just for the water. I like, you can even when you're barbecuing in the
you can wear it
weekend,
yeah.
you can wear. It's a multifunctional. And the fabric that I used for the beach shorts, I was like, I want it to be so light that if you get into the water, it's just ones that dry
Dry quickly.
literally within a minute or two. So you can still, because I noticed a lot of African men and Kenyan men, they don't necessarily get into the water, but they just like walking around in shorts. Everything they're doing is in
There are those
shorts.
shorts called Cheers Baba. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about
I feel like that would be the next line for men because, hey,
road trip shorts.
they have done like the amount of, ever since it went out of stock, I didn't even know men would notice because they don't necessarily care about the design. Like they would not care because we did just the black and the white, but we did the print. And they're like, oh, this looks cool. Can I have this? It's not even about, because I don't even think they would notice if we change the print. Because I noticed also they don't want too colorful. Something that can just go with the whatever. Lifestyle. Yeah, it can be a weekend. They're at an event. They just wear the shorts and whatever. And they're cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm about to go back to manifesting. Yeah, that's what you want to say.
Yes. Yeah, okay, we'll go there. Just wanted to know, with the many failures that you've spoken to, and I'm sure there are more that you haven't even been able to touch on, other than the systems and and how to look into partnerships, are there any other lessons that you've learned from those mistakes and failures that you think are very key?
Wow. Lessons I've learned. I think those were the main ones because they impacted, as I said, my business and personal life. So
So those are the main ones.
yeah, I think those, honestly, those are the main ones. Yeah.
Okay. So me, I'm about to come back to you on the manifesting one.
Oh my goodness.
But before you even get there, just paint for us a nice wild dream for Ohana.
Honestly, I would just say, you see like how Speedo is. So now remove Speedo and just look at the continent of Africa. And just from when you're a kid, you're wearing Ohana. From when you are a baby, you're born, you're like part of Ohana. When you grow up, when you're a toddler, you're still wearing Ohana. When you're, a teenager, you have your designs. When you're a youth, you have your designs. When you become an adult.
And this is not just in like swimwear. This is,
Yes.
I'm guessing you're looking at it being, as
Long
you said,
term.
even as I'm doing my barbecue.
Exactly.
It's
So
a-
now I'm visualizing that.
We
Like
can't-
Ohana, because Ohana means family. So I'm just remove the way we grew up. And the reason I'm using Speedo is because I used to swim in school as well. And I remember like my parents, they would just buy me from when I'm a child till when we're adults, like, oh, we're bought for Speedo. So I grew up with Speedo. I grew up knowing Speedo. If I want to swim costumes, it's Speedo. So now I want to change that mindset. Like, because parents don't have time to go online, whatever. once they commit to one brand, that's for the rest of the
This idea na costume.
Exactly. So I wanted to change to become Ohana. So if you think anything water, Ohana, and that's so broad because it's not just limited, as you said, to swimwear. There's the beachwear, there's the loungewear, there's the sunscreen, so just think, and it's family. Because now, as I said, it's all inclusive now, just the costumes for now, the kids, the men, women, plus size, modest. So slowly now imagine compounding, adding different things.
I love this.
I think that's even the manifestation.
I love you've done it.
Because
when you said sunscreen and all of that, you've just closed it for me.
Floaters. Like, why do we have to buy from,
I may tell you the things that piss me off that we import.
Yeah.
Top of the list is bicycles. We cannot make around.
There's so many people up on mechanics we make these
Those
things.
things piss me off.
Yeah.
But story for another day.
Yeah.
Toys, certain toys.
Thank you.
We have businesses like Ken Poly who make a lot of plastic things. Why can't they make those?
The toys.
This is a bad example. Like, when people order shisha, there's that like a plastic thing.
Yes.
Throw your shisha. That thing is imported.
Imagine.
Who makes it here?
I don't know.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And those things just
But now imagine if we come together, United States of Africa, and everyone just that visual.
Are we dreaming crazily, or is this something possible?
This is it's something possible
It's
because
something.
But
because
manifestations have to be crazy.
the mindset has also shifted in Africa. People are like, you know what? We actually we don't want to build empires on rented land. We want to have like our own factories here. We want to have we want to produce our own food stuff. We want to have all this stuff. So I think the mindset has started shifting and people are supporting their own. Yeah. So it's possible.
Alon, I want to move her to quick fires.
Yes.
Can I do that?
Before we end up staying here for 5 hours.
No, but this is an amazing conversation because for me, it wasn't so much about, it's what Ohana, the reflection of Ohana against one, entrepreneurship, personal life, realities of possibility, of what can be achieved. I think it's just, I'm happy to hear that people have believed in swimwear and have given you some cash to make that.
Because you see, it's not just swimwear; it's a whole.
It was the starting point. Yes,
swimwear is the one, but it's a whole business. If you look at it long term, because even the picture I've given you, like even forget me expanding it to just think water, beach alone.
Even those sandals, we call them Crocs for everything.
The loungewear. Imagine just you're thinking, okay, today I'm going to coast. Just even you alone. Everything you're packing is Ohana. That's it. From the bag to even from the bag you're packing, the beach bags to everything, the hat, the sunglasses. There's a lot, even just that one niche. That one niche.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that manifestation, we'll come back to it.
Yes.
We'll edit that one out for you.
Yes.
And then you can keep it in your phone.
And
every single time you can be looking at it because I think it's possible. But now we wanted to jump into some quick fire. It has nothing to do with, it's just, something for our audience to learn more about you on.
Okay.
Don't think about them too much.
Okay.
Don't think too hard about it. Yeah?
Don't think.
All right. So can I go?
Yeah, go.
Ready? What's the first thing you do when you wake up?
Pray.
Nice. Dream celebrity you would want rocking your swimwear, dead or alive?
Or not even born.
Or not born.
That's a bit hard.
I don't know about the not born, but currently I would say Tyler, the South African, artist Tyler.
Okay.
Make me,
when I saw the water, I was like, this is even perfect. She would have been wearing Ohana bikini while she's dancing with the water.
that would have been dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can hear us.
So Tyler, because she's on such a projection, she's going to be so huge. So I was like, can I get her now? And then we grow together,
That would be dope. If your life was a song, what genre would it be?
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think this genre I listen to constantly. My life was my life has just been.
Yeah, what genre?
Yeesh. Maybe rock.
Rock? Which rock? Like the crazy?
No, not the crazy, the soft rock, because I think the rock has, when you listen to the lyrics, it's very impactful. Like remember back in the day when we used to listen to, what were they called?
When it's back in the day. See, for some people, it's really different.
I watched a TikTok thing where some kids were being asked, how old is old? They're like people born in 2005.
What?
I was like, Jesus.
No, as millennials, you remember the rock we grew up
For
with?
us,
It was
there's-
very impactful. Like the lyrics are very deep.
Iris, the good old, those
Good
ones.
old-
Yeah,
90s, okay.
exactly.
scripts.
Good old times. Yeah, those type of because for me,
Feelings
it
were
would be
deep.
more. Yeah, feelings were deep, and I feel like that's where I'm at. I'm just my feelings.
Look on
have
my
been-
feelings.
Hey, no, mentally, me grow. I didn't go like, hey, yeah. It's like to, yeah.
Okay. One Kenyan or African snack you can't resist. Tuseme pizza.
Wafers. Is it a Kenyan snack?
It has to be an African snack. So it's
African
we are
snack.
talking territory of guaje, those
Oh,
things.
I like those these crisps, banana crisps.
Okay.
I love them.
Okay. Weirdest DM you've ever received as a founder?
As an entrepreneur.
Oh, as an entrepreneur, because mine, it goes with there's the ones who when they swim in bikinis.
Oh, there's those ones for
There's
people.
those ones.
There's people hitting on you.
There's crazy ones. Where's DM as a founder?
Is there any? Nothing.
I think I don't know if this goes as a founder, but it's like I just want to be a house husband. Like you work, like you nini, can I like those
Oh, you
weird
get those
DMs.
ones?
Yeah, I do. Like
Oh.
That is how
like,
people are shooting shots now.
I
It's
just-
a
yeah.
intrusive thoughts winning.
intrusive thoughts, and it's like, oh, I saw your nini, and you'll be perfect wife because your business. And then I was just like,
Anyway, people have what you call audacity. All right. What is your most used WhatsApp emoji?
most used, I would say, like the tongue out, and then the. Because I can get away with it. It's like a lol.
Is
Because you can
is
say
that
something.
is that how you
It's
respond
like-
to
I'm
those
very-
ones of wanting to make
No, I
you a
don't
house
respond.
husband?
I do not respond to them. I read them, but I do not respond because they're in my request. They're still there. But I feel like with that one, you can get away with so many things because I can text them like, and then it's yeah.
like
You
the-
don't know whether
When-
you-
Like
You
the
can get away with-
Kwan jokes kind of
Yeah, with
emoji.
jokes like lol. Yeah,
it's called
you can say-
attacking while defending.
exactly.
Okay.
You can use it in all things, whether it's flirting, attacking while defending, jokes, whatever, anything. Yeah.
What is the last thing that made you laugh out loud?
That last question.
Was that really the laugh out loud?
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the you know the black person's laugh.
Ile ya unakimbia unasimama hadi uko like.
Yeah, that one slaps me.
Oh wow.
Do you remember? If you can't remember, you need to have those more.
You're right. I actually need to have this more. I've become very serious nowadays. I'm a
Become too
serious
serious.
person. I'm a serious person.
But
yeah.
serious, that mean you can't laugh. You need to
But
laugh.
no, but like last time I was on video call with my cousin. Shout out to McKenna Queen. And just it's just a personal experience that she was talking about that just made me because
made
now
you
she's
laugh.
in Canada, like this culture shock stuff
Ah.
and you know how when we're talking about situations in Kiswahili because and I just died. There was
Do you speak
situation-
Meru, by the way?
Are you going to make me speak?
No. I find Meru, and I love it. I'm not nothing against it. I just find it one of the most funniest languages ever. I can't look at you and listen at the
And
same
listen
time
and
because
yeah.
I'm like, and then it's hilarious. But anyway,
Yeah. Mhm.
swimming Indian Ocean, hiking Mount Kenya, chilling in Masai Mara, which makes you happy?
I've actually done all three.
Which one is your happy place?
Definitely not Mount Kenya. I broke down when I reached the top. I was like, why? I asked the guide, why
Is
do
it
you do
that
this as a
serious?
living?
Oh, you did it.
I did it. I hiked Mount Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the
So
way
how
up.
many-
or
how many
like-
All the
days?
way up. I did 3 days.
Must
Wow.
be grueling.
Yeah, and because we were raising money for, so I was part of this. I'm part of this Riziki Foundation, so we're raising money to educate kids in Kibera. So I just kept remembering the kids. Otherwise, I was just like,
Ngoko
because it's
Merut.
cold, frostbite. I'm like, why am I here? I'm black. Why am I here? Why? So what was the other one?
So there was 3. There was Indian Ocean, hiking,
Indian Ocean.
Masai Mara. Which one makes you happiest?
Not Indian Ocean because I've done deep sea diving, and again I was like, why am I here?
It wasn't
like,
fun.
because I was just like, hey, you can just die. You know, I was just thinking of. I'm like, if a shark comes,
Be careful
I
about
feel
what you say, considering Ohana.
Yeah, and no, I am very open about this. I own a swimmer company. I wanted to do shark cage diving, and then I watched. I also watched I was like, why am I actually even going to disturb these sharks? They get like they're cut by those things. I'm like, why? And why am I putting myself? It's like, you know, those things, if you enter the zoo and then you're shocked a lion attacked you, like if you enter the cage.
You entered
so
there.
even me, I'm like, why am I inside? When I was there, I was like, why am I here? So let's go with Pasai
But there has to be a pool.
I've become
There's
those. There definitely has to be
There
a
has to
pool.
be a pool.
Yeah.
But let me ask, because I know you've also done skydiving.
I've done skydiving. Yeah,
Yeah.
every year I do a different adventure.
Yeah,
so that's my thing.
Why are you putting yourself in this situation? Why do you feel the need?
It's the, you know, that's the thing. It's the crazy side of me that I release it that way. So yeah, that's how society, you know, because I can't just go in the streets and run and scream. So I do all
to be
this.
frowned upon.
Yeah, I'd be frowned upon. So I do all this crazy stuff. Like I've done reverse bungee jumping.
There's a
like,
reversal.
What the hell is reverse
at the
bungee?
reverse bungee jumping. So I did it in Cairo, and it's the one you're strapped in, and then you see like how for bungee you're strapped in your foot, and then you jump with the rope. So this you're strapped in
your waist.
a sit, and then you're thrown up, like literally.
Basically. Ni fair.
And again, I was like, why am I here? But I made this deal with God. I'm like, I want to try all these things, but I say I won't keep testing. Like one time, if you let me live it through, I won't do it again. So that's why I said, even Mount Kenya, I reached the top. I was like, thank you, God. I'm not
I don't
doing
know
this
whether
again.
I have similar situations. Shark cage diving. I don't know why I would. I mean, imagine you're in your sitting room and people are just coming to taunt you.
Right.
So-
and
so-
that's
so,
why
yeah,
when I
I'm-
watched those videos, I was like, why? Literally,
Yeah.
it's not fair to the sharks. And then I went and did deep sea diving.
Yeah, that one freaks me
It's-
out because any situation as a human being that cannot allow you to run.
Would you rather die on like
Why are we having that
under the
conversation?
ocean, like on the ocean or in space?
Somewhere you can scream.
Quick fire, space or in the
Not
or the
ocean.
ocean.
Not ocean. I think the ocean is very scary.
You do space where you don't even know like your
Are you talking
organs and
about
bodies.
space like-
Elon Musk space.
No. I listen, neither, man. No, neither of those. No.
Yeah.
Ocean scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
But I do go, guys, buy Ohana and go to deep sea. We'll do the wetsuits as well.
Yeah.
We don't discriminate. If that's your thing, cool.
Yeah, please do it.
I'll support you.
Okay.
Okay. But
Yeah.
I think I tell people you can skydive. I did skydiving and I'd do it again.
Skydiving was lovely.
Yes,
I would do it
I do
again
it.
as well. That one was lively. But when I was doing these things for the ocean, especially even the surfing, all this stuff, I was just like, when I reached the land, I'm like, yeah. So is kona wenyewe? I'm black. I'll stay where it's
So
safe.
it's okay.
Yeah.
All right. One thing, if you would master instantly as outside of business, what would it be?
Outside, I think one of the most emotional intelligence. Yeah, I would love like how to relate with people, relationships, different. Yeah,
Are you terrible with like small talk and things
yes,
like that?
I cannot handle small talk. I'm very. I'll just keep quiet and just listen. Yeah.
Create awkwardness.
I mean, if you feel like I'll just be quiet and listen, I won't put you off. But if you feel that's on you,
Okay.
yeah.
Biggest pet peeve that you have? Don't say small talk.
Maybe people who talk while they're eating, so you can see the food inside. Like like it's just like cover your mouth. Yeah.
Okay, that one we share. Most surprising thing about being an entrepreneur that nobody warned you about?
That nobody would.
Warned you about?
Just how much it changes you as a person. Like you grow a lot as a person. You become a different person entirely. Yeah.
Last one. If you weren't building this brand, what wild career would you try for just 1 month?
So if I wasn't building Ohana, I would still build other businesses. Or you're talking entirely about being an entrepreneur.
Wild career. Wild career
career.
that you can even consider for 1 month.
Oceanography, the irony.
What does that involve?
Oceanography involves the study of now the sea creatures. So there's
Not marine biology, is it?
No.
Sorry if I
Oceanography are
sound
the
blunt.
ones who go inside the ocean.
And they interact with.
And they interact. That's the irony. They interact with these sea creatures. Again, I think I would just do it once to just be like, why am I here? Like, okay, so this is how. Yeah.
I think you're just a curious person. In
Yeah,
nature.
I'm a curious
And then
person,
when
so
you
I'll
go-
do that for a month.
And then when the curiosity bug is beat, you
When the reality, when
it's-
you're on the
like,
ground.
Yeah, you're like, why am I? What am
But I get
doing?
it. I get it. So I was
What
like,
am
I
I
get
doing?
it. But what am I doing? But I get it. So oceanography.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This has been an amazing conversation. I think
It's been short. It's long, but still short.
yeah, it feels like we can't really like with most good
Short and
conversation,
sweet.
you can't really you can't really exhaust everything because there's just so much. I
Right.
would love to have this conversation again next year.
Right.
When a lot of things have happened. I completely love what you've manifested and that
Right.
thing that you've put, because that's exactly what I feel we need to do as a African community, as entrepreneurs. We need
Exactly.
to build big, and it can only happen when we
Empires.
think. It
On our
sounds
own
cliche,
land. Yeah.
but
But it's possible.
yeah, if we can think in that way.
Like Dangote said recently, was like, in the next 5 years, Africa is going to be a heaven, you know. And I do support him because you see someone like him, he's invested in, let's say, cement, sugar, whatever.
Commodities, everything.
Commodities, and he's a dollar billionaire, and he's investing in actually
Africa.
Africa, in building infrastructure in Africa, factories in Africa. So I think also our dollar billionaires are starting to come around. So we not where it's like we actually don't also need outside help anymore. You can see Ibrahim Traore what he's doing with his country, with Burkina Faso. So I do believe, okay, Kenya, hey, you sit on a whole other
Real discussion for another.
but we are like the mindset, especially with young people, one day we'll
It
be
should
there.
be, yeah.
Like our kids will enjoy, we're building for them, for the kids'
Yep.
future. So
Yep.
they will enjoy the benefits of United States of Africa.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you so
joining
much.
us.
And if you are thinking of, starting out building something, we're in the perfect environment for that. It's called Workstyle Africa. The details are below. Come with your collaboration teams. You can get a one-man desk. You can get, if you're a whole team. It's just a cool vibe and there are nice views. Imagine if you are in here instead of being in Tao.
Yeah.
That time, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying that being in Tao is bad. But yeah, so thank you so much. Please subscribe, follow, share your comments, and yes, buy Ohana. Buy Ohana. Next time you go to the pool, beach, please. Yeah, we'll also put the details in the description. But yes,
Right.
again, see you next time. Fantastic.